Madam Chair, we are live.
Thank you, Mrs. DeGraw. We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. I want to welcome all of you. Thanks for being here today. We'll have Mrs. DeGraw lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll be open for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Mrs. DeGraw, do we have any public comment sheets?
No.
We'll be open for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. First up for purchase and spendings.
Yes, Madam Chair, would it be okay if we went to proposal number 2? We do have our track coaches here. We could
Let's do that.
go through that first as well. So we do have some proposal here to upgrade and update our timing system. So our current system that we have in track, and you can't see that from those that are listening at home, but we have all this early 2000s technology in front of our track coaches. So our current system is about 17 years old to 20 years old. And so Mr. Ramirez, we have Mr. Ramirez, Coach Ramirez, and Coach Packer here today with us. I'll go ahead and just give an overview, and then we'll have them here to answer questions or even add a little bit more to what we have. So as they came in and said, hey, we have this old system in place. We've been able to use it. We reached out to John Hansen, who was the mastermind behind putting this whole program together. When I say mastermind, he combined a lot of old technology and just made it work. In our conversation with John, he mentioned to say we probably got as much out of this system that we have that we could. We've stretched it as far as we could. And he said it's probably due time for you guys to upgrade. And so he would be the one that had the most knowledge and experience on this one. And so the track coaches got together and they did some research, and they have a couple proposals for what to look at. And so what we're leaning towards is a system called the Lynx system. This is a ChatGPT generated comparison. There's another Fast Time is another program, as we did some research that is usable for high schools. As we looked at the pricing is really close on this one. I would say that maybe Fast Time on the right might be slightly below, but not to the extent. Like you might be able to pay less getting in, but the long-term amount for the Lynx is better. So really what we're looking at is a system that would cost about $11,000, $11,507 to be exact. And that's what we're going to be requesting from the board to approve. I kind of gave you the update, and I don't know which Coach Ramirez, are you wanting to talk first, or you want to assign it to your assistant?
Well, we have a lot of things so we can both kind of talk about, but just to give you an idea of the camera technology we have.
And this is the old system we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So those are, you're not seeing that. So what you're seeing is one that looks, is that a camcorder with like a VHS?
That's the full tape.
Yeah.
That's not the mic.
So we're looking at a full tape.
Yeah.
That's not exactly what you're thinking now. Yeah.
You might be able to sell that on Antique Roadshow in Idaho Falls. Is that what you said?
We were hoping to use this as our year-long video for track, but unfortunately the battery does not work. No, this is just an old camera that we found, so it's not exactly that.
Oh, okay.
It was up there.
This actually, like you said with your conversation with John, this
You want to bring it up here. There's no camera
Yeah.
coming from the front, so if you want to just bring that up and show the school board.
so this is what they call an octopus, and this is the one piece of equipment John said actually is usable still at this point. He said this company makes them basically the same as they have always,
And this is what we use
if we have to hand time something.
on hand time. So they've done that on like the mile runs.
Yeah,
I've
so
seen that
these,
one.
that's what this machine is for, it's to manually input the time. You can tell the distance runners that, so this is something we would keep.
Like John would always walk around with that when they did
Yep.
distance runs, just as a backup too, on like the camera recording. Like there's a camera that's like, it's an older digital camera that you could stream into the bus. And then from what I remember, I always thought there was two cameras, so one was a continuously recorded, I could not find that one. And then one was the camera that actually recorded this software. So it's just software just to record times as they would pass through. Like this is the starting equipment, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Williams has actually used this one before.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that
Right?
one.
I mean, what's your thought on that one?
You know, they worked, and,
Yeah.
like, so when I looked at, if you're looking up here at the Lynx Bronze and the LS Plus on the right hand side, what you're showing right here is basically what we would repurchase. And so as I looked at that, it says it's easier for beginners, this one here. But the technology that we're using on the backside is really old.
It's old, 100%. Yeah, really old. Like the newer one that we looked at, it has cables that connect to this. It's not wireless like this one is. It is wireless, you do the upgrade, but from the package that we're looking at, it is not wireless. And it still does have like the antennas and everything in it, but some of them are broken. I'm sure there's a way to put them back together. I don't
So,
know.
so let me ask that one. So with the Lynx program here, do we need to upgrade to the wireless?
So the way,
Because,
the way they situated it is the wireless module that they have right there.
Mhm.
That's part of the upgrade that was added to the bronze package. So
Gotcha.
the wireless version is from the gold. And
Right here.
they brought that to the bronze package.
So as
Yeah.
you're looking, I don't know if you can see on that screen over there. So what you're saying is the wireless would be this extra cost right here.
Correct.
Bingo, got it.
So, I mean, just makes.
So I would want, especially where
Right.
I've started
Yeah,
the races, we need a wireless.
And since we usually put the camera on the outside of the track, they said that would cause issues if we didn't get the wireless.
Perfect.
you might be the person we has to start still. So I mean, yeah, they're having the cable you have to walk around with, and it's kind of a pain. Like the Swafter, so they're like, there's 4 of these computers. They're just old HP computers. They won't go anything past Windows 10. They can't work past that. So where they're at right now, like one of them didn't even turn on. The other one I got to turn on. I had John come look at him today, and he just kind of laughed at me when he walked in. John Reyna. And this is the computer I got when I first started here, and when I got it, it was old at that point too. So I mean, I've had a different one now for probably 7 years. So they're a little dated as well. So, yeah.
So with the new system, Coach Ramirez, as you've looked at that,
Mhm.
and here's this is the different list. What are we seeing here that like allows us to run an event?
Right, so when I was on the phone with a rep from this company, they said even in the basic package, which is bronze. It gives you all the technology and all the equipment that you need to run almost a collegiate level track meet. So they give you everything you need, but then the addition of the wireless modulars is what she suggests that we upgrade with as well. So it is, I don't know everything by name, like I had to ask Packer about some of these things specifically, because I wasn't familiar with a lot of it, but as I talked to people and kind of read through this, I understood more so that it gives us everything we would need for quite a while to run a track meet.
And with this request from our track team, our A team discussed this, we support this this purchase. As we also helped look into some of the different research things with it. We reached out to a gentleman from Sugar City who runs events. And generally schools either buy their own system or they pay somebody to come and bring their system and run an event. This individual talked about both of these programs. He said that he runs the Lynx system for what he does. He did say that something like the LS Plus would be simpler for volunteers. But he also said that if we needed to reach out to him specifically, he would be able to send one of his people out here to help instruct. And as soon as we have that knowledge, I think we would be fine. with
Good
that.
resource.
So we have resources in the area. One of the discussions in our A-team meeting was, do we just ask the individual to come and do our events? The hard part is now we're at his mercy of when we run our events, and this year it wouldn't work. So that was one of the considerations we had was, let's just have him come run our events, but then we wouldn't be able to host the event when it's available for us. And so by having our own allows us the flexibility to do that.
How many events are we looking at for this season?
So this year we have 2 for sure as we're doing that, but I think max that I've seen would be 2 high school events, 1 junior high event, or vice versa. We could go 4. It is a lot of work. Other things we could look at is if there was an individual that wasn't a coach that knew how to run this system, we could pay them a stipend to come and do that during the track meets. I think that would be helpful for our coaches. It's a lot of stress on these guys to run an event, because not only are they coaching, they're also doing everything else. And so there's pros and cons with it. The cost, like after 10 years of events, would probably break even with this, but that's if we can get them when we want them. And so that's why I kind of lean towards investing in this instead of just hiring somebody to come and do it.
How much does it cost to hire someone to come and do that?
Approximately $500. And so if you looked at 3 events, $1,500 a year, you push that out.
What account is this coming out of?
This is gonna come out of Athletic Gate. And so our Athletic Gate account is higher right now, and so there's enough funds in that for it to be utilized.
How long would it take us to approve it today?
If approved today, Coach Ramirez, what did you find out?
They said once orders placed and they have their seat, then they can ship within 8 to 12 days.
So would have it before,
We
that
should
would give
have
us
it
3
before.
weeks, 3 weeks to have in place before our first event.
You have some people that are willing to dig into the system and learn how to use it too, so.
And-
Aren't coaches.
So if the board were not to approve it, our only option would be to try to make this old stuff still work. Because we do not have access to the local person to come that day anyway. And how many schools are scheduled to come to
I
our,
think we have 6 right now.
so that, so spring sports schedules are difficult to put into place, and there's a huge domino effect if one thing falls, and with a lot of different schools.
Do we ever host districts?
We've-
We have in the past.
We-
We actually used to host a lot, like, most of the schools I would say in our district actually really enjoyed coming to our facilities, just
I would
because of how we did it. Like, we've had Salmon say multiple times they love coming.
Not
here
because of
we run
the
well.
technology, but because of the individuals.
Just that it's
behind
well
it.
structured, that we have like a good facility and that
Well,
everything would.
and
like,
we
flow
had an experienced track coach he's been around since when I was in high school. John Hansen was one of the main reasons why they ran so well, is because he would get the technology and the organization, and then we had a lot of support from our coaches.
I'm just wondering where the facilities have been upgraded with the track. And we have something like this, if it would be something that we push more for hosting.
Yeah.
So we
I
can
think in the
utilize.
future we could, I just know there are other schools from our district push to have that combined districts like we have for the last couple of years. That's been a big push from the other schools.
So what that means is last year we had our district tournament at Madison.
With the 4A schools as well.
So they would
And
they would put them all together. And
Now, why is that? Is it just because they have a bigger stadium for seating and that?
I think it's just so we can get it all done at one time rather than wait multiple days for results to figure out state qualifiers and stuff like that. We actually last year disagreed with combining district track, but I mean, the other schools just outweighed us at that point.
And as we went, we actually did. It's nice because we do, as coaches, we help the other groups, so it flows pretty well. And then you actually get to coach your kids instead of having to worry about running an event or doing something else during that.
But junior high track is a different story. That's
Yeah.
one that we would definitely.
I'm just wondering if instead of constantly going to the larger school districts and using their facilities, if we're at a point where our facilities can be used to
Yeah, I think
combine.
we can
for
propose that.
everybody.
Last year, we were outvoted for sure. Like, there's 2 schools that said that we wanted to keep it the way that we did it in the past, but
And I do think
All said.
in the past also, there's been kind of discrepancies with coaches in our district saying something about another athlete from a different school, kind of throwing the book at him and saying, we want this athlete to be disqualified. So it just also takes away bias, having combined meets with the other schools as well. But I think, yeah, I agree. We could propose to host districts if
Well, I'm just thinking if we're investing this kind of money into a system that's.
So the system that we purchased before was probably between about, by the time we got all the different things into it, and this was 20 years ago, it was about $6,000. So if you're looking at inflation, what we're purchasing now is similar to what we've had, and if we have this for 15 years, it definitely comes out to be less than $1,000 a year on this investment. On the
Just real quick, we're gonna excuse Mr. Burtonshaw at this time.
But I see what you're saying. So I hear you're saying is if we put this investment in, can we make a push to even have more home events? I
Yeah.
guess, is that kind of what you're also saying?
If we're gonna make the investment, then
We have the investment, we have facilities and this type of technology that supports a good. You know, track race, why not have it here?
I agree.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the proposed track timing systems.
I'm sure I still move.
Is there a second?
A second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you, Coach Ramirez. Where this has been approved, if you want to reach out to them and start, get that purchase order submitted, we can get that going and get it here. Get it here before the first track meet.
Yeah,
So, all right, well, good luck with your season.
okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Another spending.
Yep.
Purchase item.
This one, they have some good history on this one to show how inflation works.
There's
Uh,
economics class.
Yeah, just know that it goes up. So we're looking at our annual Chromebook purchases. This year's purchase will, again, we buy enough for the incoming freshman class or the ones that we look at. If more freshmen show up than we purchase for, we just put in an extra order for them at that time. And then also to replace Chromebooks that are no longer supported or on warranty. We pay for these when we get them. Sometimes they show up later in July, and if that's the case, then this purchase will go on that fiscal year, not this fiscal year. Just wanted the board to understand.
typically we're paying them in the following. fiscal
Yeah, it would be the next year's fiscal year. And so here are the proposed amounts from each account. So the high school account, that's the fund code. They're wanting to have 45 Chromebooks. Territon Elementary is looking to get some refurbished ones. This is one area that Mr. Reyna felt like we get a good bang for our buck on refurbished ones, especially at the younger age. The elementary ones all go into classroom sets. These are not individual, where the high school goes individual one-to-one device. So any questions on how the devices are?
I have a question.
Yes.
On the, it's my understanding that the seniors can take those Chromebooks when they
Yes.
graduate. How many take them?
So most of them do. What we have is if they sign up and the student pays for the insurance part
It's not
of,
insurance.
not insurance, what is the protection?
Their rental fee, essentially.
Yeah, they're essentially renting it from the school at that time. And if they had the commitment of signing up for that rental agreement, then they are given the Chromebooks at the end of graduation.
What happens if they don't take the Chromebook? Where does that Chromebook go?
You know, they may or may not have another year or so. The warranty and the support for those for the Chromebooks generally lasts about 4 years. 4 to
So-
5 years.
So you're replacing the Chromebooks every 4 years
Mhm.
in the district.
Yeah. And sometimes we send them back to get refurbished. They give us a deal on that. I could bring Mr. Reyna in the future to explain a little bit more about how that works. Like when a device is no longer under warranty, we can use it for certain things, but sometimes they don't upgrade to allow some of the newer technology. And so sometimes it might become obsolete with the technologies that's being used in the class.
And then it can be refurbished sometimes then?
Yeah,
Okay.
sometimes they can be refurbished,
The
sometimes
other
they can't.
thing
Any
is
other
that if
comment?
it won't update, then it won't always be compatible with the firewalls that we've set up and the protections on the computer. And that's another reason why
Yeah.
we would phase them out, is if we couldn't guarantee protection.
On that.
Does that protection work on all networks or just if they're connected to the school network?
There are some specific to the device and some that are specific to the internet.
So if a student brings their own phone and they're just on their own cellular, we can't control anything that comes in and out of that. That's, or if it's their own personal device that they bring. But if they, once they log into our internet, then we do have protections and things on
But if they're hotspotting their Chromebook, do you have any protection there?
No,
Mhm.
but it has the protections that are set up on it. That they would take, you know, when they go home, they can't just do anything that they can't do here. Because of the protections that are already on the computer.
So explain that a little bit more. So what you're saying is, if I have a Chromebook from the school and I have the protections, even if I go home, the school still will have.
computer has loaded onto it some of those restrictions. One thing that being on our network gives us is a history of searches and those kinds of things. And those searches certain words are flagged. So if we have kids doing things, looking for things they shouldn't be, then administration's flagged and then they will go talk to those students. You know, so that's one of the advantages for them being on our network. And it does just add that extra wall of protection.
But the Chromebooks are able to, while they're at school, hotspot off something else.
Yes,
And I don't know how we would,
we wouldn't be able to do that. We wouldn't be able to stop that.
No.
No.
yeah. That would be something like on a case by case, if there was a situation where inappropriate searches or things were taking place on a device and it was brought to administration's attention, then we would be able to bring that parent student in, discuss different things, hopefully have the parents support on limiting cellular access. You know, that's just the approach we would have to take. And it would be a case by case situation.
And what is the agreement with the student on how they use the device then?
That's under secondary.
Yeah, the handbook has that.
So
it's
even
like-
if they're hot spotting, they've signed something that says
Yeah.
behave.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we still, even if they're hotspotting, we still have the right as a school to ask them to do that, and then they choose not to, and then it's brought to our attention and it's confirmed that that's what's taken place, then disciplinary action can take place.
So go ahead. I don't want to monopolize my
No,
more more direct. I was wondering why the touch screen?
that was my question, rather than the refurbished.
At the younger age, the touch screen allows for different testing and different options for that. I know we went back and forth at different years, but we only get the touch screens mostly for kindergarten age is what we have. And Hamer's a little bit different, where as of right now, the population is about 45 students. And so these would be shared amongst all of them.
So how do you juggle Chromebooks if you shift classes? So in the past, we've had fourth grade over in Hamer, in the past they would come down.
So the Chromebooks, the Chromebooks at the elementary age and well, 8th grade and below, they don't follow the student from grade to grade.
So you
And
can
so,
shift around.
yeah, so we would shift them around. So we have Chromebook carts available. So Hamer would have a Chromebook cart for its school. First grade in Territon, they have a Chromebook cart that they share between the classes. 5th and 6th grade, they have 2 or 3 Chromebook carts, just depending on the amount of students that they have. And that way the students don't take them home. They're not carrying, the junior high students aren't taking a Chromebook up and down the hall. We tried that for half a year. And it was better. Our Chromebooks, we don't break as many. I know is surprising, but keyboards have stayed in place. And I haven't heard of really extensive vandalism or anything with our devices. Like, it probably is about 4 years ago. And maybe it might have been mostly just the junior high that we were getting. And of course, kids that did vandalize them did end up paying for them. But we have very few issues, and even at high school, I don't know the exact number, but it's not a lot that Mr. Reyna has to come in and repair. And occasionally, a kid will accidentally drop it. It's that accidents happen, but then he'll come in and he'll either repair them. If he can't, he sends them back in to get repaired. So just kind of as you're looking for this year's request would be at 42,645. It's similar to what, well, it's not similar, it's more, but we are asking for more this time on this proposed one. And the average cost per Chromebook in 21 was 385, and you can see how it's slowly increased over the years. Down this year, and I would say mostly because of the refurbished. If we were looking at the breakdown of the exact amounts, you can see that the ones for the high school are 477 a piece. The touchscreens are, $60 more per, and then the refurbished are $389.
So are the Chromebooks for the high school loaded with something different than for the elementary school?
They have a few things. We have started buying them with, you can see here on my computer front screen, things that say West Jefferson on them. I don't know if they have I don't think they have the names of the kids yet, but we do put stickers and things that identify whose they are. That's about the only difference that I have, is the case would be different. And when we're looking at the different price between 477 and 389, that's just a refurbished one, and these are brand new. And so there might be a few small things.
Where the elementary doesn't use it every day or all day, our high school ones are being used a lot more, and so they get a lot more wear and tear on them.
Yeah, and we're paying for the warranties. And
I haven't used a Chromebook. So is there like a different operating system or memory size or something
it's
that goes
more
with
internet based.
but
That's-
between the elementary and the high school one, is the processing speed higher, the hardware part of it? Is it
Scroll
different?
down, Mr. Williams,
you want to see the
what
refurbished?
the refurbished one looks like.
No touch. 4 gig 64.
And so these ones have varying amounts of memory.
Oh, yeah, 4 to 64. That's probably because we're
just
a
getting
bunch of
refurbished,
refurbished ones,
yeah.
and some of them that were refurbished may have had more.
So we won't have specific details on the processing on the refurbished one. But it's the Intel N series N150. And so essentially what that's saying is what processor it has. And it's the touchscreen ones have the exact same processor. So it's just what the current one is.
Okay.
I know when Mr. Rain has looked at different ones, we do try to capitalize on the cheapest one, and I don't know if that's, were you wondering why there might be a difference in cost, or help me understand maybe and then I can help answer your question a little bit more, because I don't know.
I'm just curious about if there's a difference between the high school, are we getting the high school, if it was a laptop or a desktop, are we getting them more processing speed or less or more memory, or that's what I was trying to understand.
I don't know if they are. I think
It
it's,
looks
I
like
think
they're
what
the
it is,
same.
because it's a new one. It comes with
That
a
was-
stronger warranty than the other one. This one comes with a 2.
And it's the most up to date technology.
when we did have the conversations with Mr. Reyna, he said one of the reasons why the price keeps going up, and it probably will be for the foreseeable future, is a lot of the resources for the AI and the chips and different things like that. Instead of having that be available to go into a Chromebook, they're trying to take that and go into other AI technologies in the computer industry. So now, so within the industry, you have certain things that go in to build the computers or the processors or whatever. And because more of it's being pulled over for the demand for the AI stuff, they have to pay a little bit more to be able to keep some of that stuff to provide these types of resources. Does that make sense? How
Yeah.
about
The demand has changed.
the demand has changed and it's changed within the
And the
technology.
industry hasn't caught up to that new demand.
And so maybe when I drove over to Boise and they're making the big Micron thing, that looks like a huge palace.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that warehouse will help bring it
Bring
down,
it
or we just have to adjust to the inflation. No, I appreciate the comments and the questions. Now, you three both have, you know, you all have students in high school. I know my son hasn't complained about lack of anything on the Chromebook. I know that he's at home. I see him at home working on, he does have a dual credit IDLA class, but also his English class. I see him working on things. Have your children mentioned any issues with the Chromebooks? Limitations?
Just the ones I put on
No.
it.
Excellent, good job.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's not something that's usable in college
Yeah,
because it's not a device that you can download software onto. Because it's internet based. And so if you're not using internet, like what's the document one that they use?
Microsoft,
It doesn't support the Microsoft Word, Excel, those types of things are
Yeah.
downloadable products. And so that's when they shift to a laptop. Doesn't work for college.
I wondered with that, if we, like, why do we extend it with seniors if it still has life in it here, and if they go into college, they're gonna actually need something else?
well, for some
Are
people
we
it
doing
does.
them?
you know, that's a good question. The biggest reason is that we've seen is they take care of it better.
It's theirs.
They take care of it. And whether they use it at college or, you know, but you're right, like they may not be able to do the Microsoft suite with it, but they still have access to all their Google
And
Google
if-
Docs.
Stuff in high school.
If they can do the Microsoft 365, which is web-based, you know, as more of those programs become cloud-based, it becomes more useful.
Yeah.
My kid's experience so far has been that it is not useful.
After,
Not that they've taken one, but a Chromebook would not have worked for them. Because as they look, because now they're spending their own money to get something.
Mhm.
Chromebook isn't expensive compared to a laptop, but it doesn't have the abilities that they need for school.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and if we were to purchase a laptop for each student here, you know, instead of $400 per device, we'd be looking at $1,000 at the you know, maybe 800 if we get a good,
bulk rate.
you know. But Costco only lets us buy 2 at a time. with
Yeah.
that. They have a-
Everybody with a Costco membership.
Yeah.
They haven't seen a price under $1,000.
Yeah.
For one, so anyway.
Alright. Any further discussion? Any other questions? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the proposed technology purchase for the 26-27 school year.
I'm sure I will move.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to baseball.
Yes.
Super.
4.2, so we do have a request for a cooperative athletic agreement between West Jefferson and Water Springs High School. And so that would be a co-op that would go for the 26-27 seasons. As our athletic director Raquel Ferguson, she's reached out with Water Springs. Water Springs, I believe, has 3 athletes that would like to play. That would be helpful. Our baseball team right now has about 10 to 11 kids on it, and so that would allow us to have a few more individuals to come and participate. How co-ops work if is both schools will just have to agree. In this type of a situation, Water Springs would have to come up with their own coach as well. Their coach would practice with their kids after school at their facility, maybe once a week, twice a week before the season starts, would have a combined practice, would invite their athletes to come to our school, have a practice. Baseball is a pretty good sport when it comes to co-oping because you can work on skills independent. You don't have to always have the whole team together to work on skills. Where we haven't had enough interest in baseball, this is a great way for us to still provide the opportunity for kids that want to do that. And I can't think of any other. I can't think of a reason not to. And so, do you guys have any questions about co-ops in general, or co-ops with Water Springs, or how that works? Water Springs is located on really close to Sunnyside and Hit Road out by Cabela's.
It's just down below Cabela's.
Just go down
Yeah.
like another mile down.
Or half.
It's about a half a mile.
A half a mile.
So why here? Why did
Um,
they choose a school that's a lot closer in proximity?
So how co-ops work is they take to determine what level you would compete in. That's a really good question. Our high school right now has approximately 200 students in it. To compete in the 3A division, you have to have an enrollment between 165 or 75. They've changed 70, I think 65 now, and 349. So if you have an enrollment that falls within there, you are placed in the 3A division for competing. In a co-op situation, they take the enrollment of Water Springs and then add it to West Jefferson. And I believe Water Springs has about 60 kids in their high school right now. And so West Jefferson now has 260 kids. And so that would still fall into that level. So if they were to go to Hillcrest, that would be a drop in the bucket. And Hillcrest probably wouldn't matter. But maybe these kids don't have the skill set to play for a Hillcrest. And they just want to have an opportunity to play. If they were to go to Firth, that Firth is sitting right around 305 students in their high school. So if they went to Firth, that pushes Firth to have to compete into the 4A school. So that wouldn't be an advantage for Firth to want to allow somebody to do something like this. And so as you're going up the valley, they could look at all the big 5A schools, but again, it's the same argument with Hillcrest. Rigby has one, it's the same thing. Ryrie does not have a team for baseball. We would be the next closest for them to have that opportunity. And I think that's where, as Raquel was talking to just different athletic directors, and she said, "Hey, is there anybody out there that would like to co-op?" This year, Mackey and Butte co-op for baseball. In years past, it used to be Chalice, Mackey, and Butte. And so it changes. I believe Chalice may have dropped off and has their own. So it's just an opportunity. Like with this one, we could still co-op with another high school that has less than 100 students or less than 90 students in it if we wanted to. You'd have 3 of them. I think it would still be called the Panthers. I don't know if it'd be like the Water Jefferson or West Springs or anything. I don't know. If there's something to go on for years and years, they might have different things that they look at.
Well, they look good in Panther blue.
They're blue.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, super.
Yeah, they're a Navy, so I think they'll be right at home.
Right. Is there any further discussion?
Will they travel to games together?
Yeah. Um. More than likely, yes, but they might in their own district vans just meet us at the locations. Like that's just gonna be at whatever's convenient. I don't think there's a requirement where their board, and I'm not sure exactly how the private schools boards looks compared to what our schools. Um, they would have to still vote and approve. So I have an email from the IHSAA that's just waiting for me to say accept or decline from this board, from our school board.
If they ride our buses, does our insurance cover it because
Yeah.
we're in a co-op?
Yeah, it would.
Any other questions? Not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the proposed baseball co-op with Water Springs High School.
I'm sure it's gonna move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Policy review.
All right, so the district has been in the process of coming up with a policy on firearms. The last several years, this has been a topic that's been brought up at the state level. I remember last year there were several legislatures that were coming out and wanting to pass legislation from that level to allow anybody with a concealed carry to come into schools, regardless of whether you're an employee or not. And so that's some of the legislation that has not passed, and I haven't heard that it's actually been brought back up, but it's always kind of on the forefront of today's conversations, especially in Idaho where we have a lot of rural communities, and those that favor guns rights and different things feel like that would make it safe. However, when you talk with school employees or police offices, departments, sheriff's offices, it has complications. It has complications when you just have an open, anybody with a concealed come in. We haven't had a policy like this, but we feel like at this time it would be really helpful for us to just set a standard on where we're at. And I do remember last year when I was visiting with one of our local representatives, and they were talking, and they just said, hey, if this stuff gets pushed through over in Boise, you're going to want to have your own policy. You're going to want to have a policy that governs what you do locally before the state comes in and basically overruns local control. So I think it's just a good time for us to have a policy like this. In this process of the policy, this is one thing that's a great opportunity for West Jefferson is working with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. If we develop our policy in a way that individuals that are allowed to carry are going through the training process of the Jefferson County Reserve Program. And then that way, here at the district, we're going to be able to one, be open to the idea that yes, we have people here that can conceal carry, but also be close to help out in the case of an emergency. And so as we look through this, some of the things that we're proposing in this draft policy is that individuals, a current administrator or supervisor at West Jefferson, they have a satisfactory employment record, receive a recommendation from the superintendent, and then successfully complete and maintain reserve deputy certification through Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Then they must remain active with all the trainings and complete their backgrounds, and then complete all the different things required by the Sheriff's Office. That would be my recommendation as we've met with our safety committee, with different groups. It has all the training requirements that would be necessary. These are all the different ones with tactical medical, ARCON, active shooter ones. I know that we've talked in the past where 3 years ago I became a deputy reserve through this program, and we do trainings with the sheriff's office. I have to keep my things up to date. and then that way it covers all the different things through the firearm authorizations, the use of force. Identification procedures, covers all the different things, with that. As board members, I guess this is the time where it's in discussion. As you review this, whether we discuss it now, our goal is to take feedback, look at different things that we might want to add to this draft, policy. And we will be also sending this again back to our legal counsel and also to our insurance company, just to get feedback to make sure that we're working with everything. And I'll continue also working with Captain Johnson at Jefferson County Sheriff's Office with that. Any thoughts from you guys or comments?
There's just one word that must be changed on the second page under employee firearm authorization.
Okay,
The second sentence there, ammunition will be approved.
Okay.
oh, yeah. Okay. Mrs. McGraw, I have one right here.
That was great. I did not print myself a copy.
You take mine, I have several of them.
Okay. Yeah.
On that same page, under use of force, the bottom bullet point,
Uh,
are there numbers to those protocols that should be referenced in the policy?
What do you mean?
So like Idaho code.
District safety protocols. I
This is with Idaho code. It is referenced at the bottom as to which Idaho codes govern this.
Okay, it was the district safety protocols. I don't know if protocols have numbers or whatever, if that needs to be.
I
noted.
think it's just trying to be vague, that to make sure that there's nothing in the protocols that are ruling
Ruling.
this. We'll look into because right now our protocols are with like the lockdown, evacuate, the different parts of those safety protocols. But we don't have, the only thing in those protocols is defend. At times, like to teach the teacher or staff member.
Well, I just thought if there are protocols about like, if there's a fire, it's different than if there's other kinds of emergencies. So I didn't know if that.
And so we do not publish our safety protocols.
Okay,
It's
so it
it's-
wouldn't be something that would have to be referenced.
No, I don't think it
No.
would have to be.
Like by a number. I'm just thinking if a policy references a policy, we want to make sure we have them linked correctly.
I can
That's
see
why I
that,
was
I can see that
wondering.
train of thought. But there's certain things in our safety protocols that we don't want published, that are
Oh, yeah.
only discussed behind. Like a safety discussion in an executive session. With that, but it's a good question, on does it need to be linked? I don't, in this situation with safety
would-
protocols, we wouldn't want to.
On the board authorization at the very bottom, first page, it says it's about authorization must be reviewed annually and that it can be revoked at any time, written or verbal. Is that, do we want to make that either way? Can an employee decide that they don't want to act in that role while they're here working for the school?
I think that's something you could add.
which number?
So it's just at the second section,
Okay,
authorization must be reviewed annually by the board and may be revoked by either party.
okay.
Yeah, that'd be something to. Right there, it makes it sound like only the board may revoke,
Yeah.
but in reality, but actually Jefferson County could also revoke if the employee lost their status as a deputy reserve.
If they lost their status, then they lose their privilege to.
It's in there already, saying you have to be in good standing,
Yeah,
have your phone up to date on that.
but I think that could be something we could
Yeah.
easily add.
And I think I understand why you would want verbal notice as well as written, but I would say it needs to be, after verbal notice, there needs to be
Documentation.
something, yeah, that has happened.
Yeah, that verbal notice, I don't know if I even like that.
Do we just say?
I think take out
Written
verbal
notice.
notice. I think it needs to be written to have a. Yeah, that's a good catch on that one. I don't. Yeah, I don't like that. Now that you brought it to our attention.
On the next section after numbers, let's see, it's the third section, but it ends up on the second
Yeah.
page, that last section. Can you clarify the last statement there, failure to maintain an active reserve duty? Because I wondered if it needed to be concealed carry there or rather just carry, but I don't know enough about reserve deputies to know.
So Captain Johnson, would you like to speak on that one? So the question we have is. Failure to maintain an active reserve, what does that mean? Is that the question?
No, it says failure to maintain an active reserve duty status for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office will automatically result in suspension of authorization to carry on school district property. Is it concealed carry that they're doing on school property or carry, or does it matter?
It would be any carry under the law enforcement end of it.
Okay. Just nitpicking, wondering if we needed to add an extra word, that's why. So
I appreciate that, but if they don't get their 120 hours training / work service through the year, they would lose their status with Jefferson County Sheriff's Office at that point.
And the only way to open carry would be if I was in uniform or vest or anything like that.
Okay,
And so I think it's almost implied that it's carry or concealed, because if you don't fall under that, it's illegal to bring a concealed onto school property anyway.
A general person can't bring a gun on campus, or else they would be charged criminally.
okay.
I like to be able to look at each individual word, because each individual word in policy has a meaning behind it, and sometimes there's certain words that can be understood both ways, so that's a good question. I see some more notes, keep rolling.
I just can't get off of the board authorization part that the reserve deputy, do they have the ability to say, I want to be a reserve deputy, but not when I'm an employee at school?
That would be up to the sheriff, I believe.
So, let me make sure I know what you're asking. They want to be a reserve deputy, but they don't want to carry at school or be a part of the school portion of it.
Yeah, they don't want.
I don't think you can do either. I think they both go together.
If they want to be a reserve deputy, but they don't want to carry or do it with the school portion of it, they could choose to do that and still be a reserve. It goes back to when I was talking earlier about being that reserve deputy. They gotta wear two hats. They're gonna wear some with the school and some the other. They can choose one or the other and not carry
I
on
think
school campus.
I think what would happen, at least for my position from being a reserve for 2 or 3 years, serving as a reserve deputy, but also as an administrator. I just have not different responsibilities, but because of where I'm at, I'm asked to do different things than what a non-school employee reserve would do.
I honestly don't see a employee wanting to be a reserve and not do this program.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
Okay.
I don't either.
But could they choose to do it that way? They could choose to do it that way. They could choose either way.
But I don't know if that really matters though for us.
That is answered in our policy though.
Where
Maybe
at?
not.
In the second section, the very first line, no employee shall be required to carry a firearm on school district property. So if an employee was a reserve, then we would not compel them to carry on campus.
If you're gonna sign up to be in the reserve,
Well, that's what.
But I believe,
Captain
It's not
Johnson
doing it
said,
here
but-
too. You're automatic, you're good.
but I think that,
then I think we need to
I
take
don't-
that out.
but as part of the
Well,
policy though, you can't compel.
this though would say, this would say, if Amanda Burton or Erickson doesn't want to be a reserve, she doesn't have to. That's also what this sentence means.
It's also saying that.
Cause
is that
this,
no employee is going to be forced to be part of
And
this.
we're not gonna force somebody to do it.
Right, but isn't this directed towards employees in the reserve program?
Uh-huh.
Yes and no.
Or those that. Anybody eligible to become that, which would be every single employee hypothetically.
I think in some ways we're overlooking this. Realistically, if we've got an employee that want to be a reserve and do this, they're doing it because they're wanting to carry here. I don't think they're gonna do it for any other reason. I think we're overthinking it.
Yeah, we might be.
In a lot of ways, I think we're overthinking it way hard.
If you're gonna sign up and do the reserve program, I have the expectation that you're going to do it at school.
Yes,
Right.
'Cause
I agree with that.
Would somebody that is an employee of the school district, when they apply to be a reserve deputy, would this almost be kind of a,
They got it listed as their job, so I'm gonna know it, so I'm gonna be contacting the superintendent or their boss and finding out what their
I'm
expectations
not gonna do it
are.
on the lookout.
They're like, Captain, don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
But it's also part of putting these policies in place.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's being realistic. If we've got an employee that's wanting to put in the effort to be a reserve, they're doing it to
Yeah.
carry here.
the part that I love about this proposed policy though, and again, we might find some different verbiage or things here or there. The connection with, like, I feel so much more confident being able to do this because of the training that I get through Jefferson County. Like,
Absolutely.
hands down. If I was at a different school that didn't have this and we were discussing, hey, I want you to conceal carry and I want all our principals and I want all our teachers to have it. If you're at a district that had that, but none of us have any of this training, I think that sometimes the risk of something going bad goes up, like unintentional stuff. There's always risk no matter what happens, and there's always no guarantee on ultimate protection from anything that's crazy out there in the world. But that's what I love about where we have this opportunity. Not very many school districts will be able to have this type of policy
And a supportive sheriff.
and a support like we have. So I like that. So let's keep looking through this. We'll keep it on the discussion. If there's more things that need to change, we'll just keep rolling in this direction. I think it's been a very positive and helpful conversation.
I will make changes to this and submit it to our legal counsel to give us feedback.
And that will be the next step. We'll get the feedback from the legal counsel and then we'll reconvene. Yeah,
Sounds good.
awesome.
Great, moving on to the calendar.
Okay, so I reached out to Mr. Guimar. He pulled some records of historical data. And when I looked, I was actually pleasantly surprised that on two things. So we've been talking about split harvest as one of the options for a calendar. And a lot of the things that I hear are, we don't want to do a split harvest because 21 and 22 will be a bad day and blah, 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 7th and 8th
Attendance. please.
attendance. The last time we did that, actually, the 7th and 8th, or it was a 2-day week, it was actually a Thursday and a Friday. The attendance was great on those days. There were still probably a handful of high school kids that were working, but overall in the district, I didn't see anything drop below like a 91% on our attendance. And so our attendance, and I'll be able to share that directly if you want to, and I'll just email it to each of the board members. It'll be upon request of anybody else that wants to see that. There's just a lot of numbers. I didn't want to pull it up here to explain it because I think we could get lost in the weeds. But Carrie, I'm purposely not pulling up that report that
Yes.
he said, but it is here upon request. So if anybody in the public wants it or board members want it, we'll send it to you. But really, there was nothing showing that our attendance dropped like below 91%. Maybe on some days or instances, but there's two things that drive the finances. The first Friday in November, that's like the golden one that we want as many people in school as possible, because that one sets the amount at the top. Then a lot of your discretionary monies and other things come from what they call the best 28 weeks. And so the best 28 weeks, they throw out five or 6 weeks about 34.
Yeah,
to me.
4 or 5 weeks.
Of poor attendance, and then so it balances. So on one hand, when we're looking at 1st of November, even the Monday, Tuesday in November, that's another one where the Monday was average attendance like we have everywhere else. Tuesday slipped and went down just a little bit, but in my mind, whether we take those 2 days off or not doesn't really matter when it comes to the attendance argument. And even if we had a split harvest, it doesn't really matter one way or another.
Can you remind me, the idea behind doing the split harvest was to try to capture an
Early,
ideal harvest time?
yeah, like the farms and potatoes that are in the sandier sections, which are normally up in the Hamer region, they usually have an earlier dig date. The potatoes that are down in the more heavier soil, which would be the Mud Lake, Montague, maybe the Roberts area. And again, this is a generalized statement because you have different varieties of potatoes that go at different times. You know, it's not going to be 100% accurate statement. Generally have the later one. I did have one more.
Were we also trying to capture the silage as well? That was my understanding.
Inside, well, just harvest, just any of the
Yeah.
farmers that are here, because silage is another labor intensive crop. You have
October.
not as heavy as potatoes, but you still need to have truck drivers, and you have plenty of truck drivers going out. You know, have people at the bagging section and stuff, so as we looked at the early harvest option, there's one thing that was brought to my attention that I haven't shared. October 9th was a Friday. This is a date that the Department of Education has selected as a statewide professional development day. They haven't had these for years, probably 10, 15 years. I know that years ago they used to have a statewide professional development day where they would try to have all the teachers go to a conference or something. As I talked with Dr. Barzee, he said that on that day, what they're trying to do is hold them regionally. And he asked if West Jefferson could be a hosting location where smaller schools like Clark County, Leadore, Salmon, Chalice, Mackey, Butte would come here to that. So if that's the case, again, this thing about having a high school only day would be out the door. It would have to be a teacher work day. But if that was a teacher work day,
One that would work.
yeah, it complicates it on the split harvest.
So your late harvest is really wrong.
The late harvest would work, or do we just come back for 2 days and just do it? You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It's I don't know. The other thing is I have 2 days off here. Do we take those 2 days and boom, we have a longer harvest? Or
And can we take those 2 days for Thanksgiving and change the start? So that, so if you go up into August, instead of high school coming in the 13th and 14th, we have elementary start on that Wednesday instead of on the Monday.
That's a possibility. Like, it is.
It is.
That's a possibility for us.
So they would have less time before a 2-week break.
Yeah,
2 days less.
so that would be, so one thing that would accomplish is we would start later, but then you also have less instructional time because you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of instruction. Moving it back that, depending on there, it'd still be, I think it would be 6s on that.
Can you remind me of what we decided last time about Labor Day? Was that one of the?
That's one
One
that
of the
it's
state
not
holidays.
a state holiday, but that one would traditionally, where that is it's the last camping weekend of the year. It's also what state fair is a big day.
That's right.
I think it would be,
Did we have Labor Day off this year?
We've always had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've always had Labor Day off.
as far as
I just,
probably not for farmers and
for the laborers.
for the labor, there's still,
I don't know, I just,
Yeah,
Looking
so when
days.
we did look into it, by law, we could take it off. But it wouldn't be a recommendation, especially just as it is kind of the end of it's a good camping weekend for those, the fair
I remember the discussion about the fair, cause the FFA goes and
on that Saturday. When we could have,
anyway,
I know we have lots of different ways to look at that. And so Emily, if I hear you would say, could we go take those 2 days off in November, not start high school until the next week and then maybe start elementary there?
yeah,
I would have to recheck our elementary days, but it'd be a possibility. Cause that would eliminate 2 more days of elementary.
well,
It fixes it, it's
would it? Because they would be going the 2 more days in November.
True.
You're just swapping
Yep,
days.
yep, now that I just said that,
Okay,
no, as I'm talking it through, you're right. So that could be a possibility that I could do.
Well, then if you are going Thanksgiving, the 23rd and the 24th, does your high school need to come in the 13th, 14th and just start on the 17th?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yep, that's what we would do.
I kinda like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I'll write one up, I'll make a draft with that change, and I think that'd be just fine.
August is so hot. And I don't know, I think the more days we can give them for their summers.
Yeah. See, it's easy for me because I'm here no matter what, but you're
Right.
right, but from a family standpoint, and that, again, that is one more weekend.
Right?
That is one more weekend of summer for a lot of families.
Unless you're committed to a sport.
Yeah.
It's not.
What are thoughts on harvest? Like, I know, like, what are you hearing from the people in your areas?
Ones I've asked, like the full 2 weeks. They don't like breaking it up in
Okay.
a week. But
So if that's the case, which one, early or late?
what is the start date of harvest on the
late
early?
one is the one that was kind of the 28th.
Let me just take the split one out of here, so it's not. And which one was this one? This was the early harvest, and let me pull up the late harvest. So the start date for the early harvest would be the 21st. And then the late harvest would just start the week after.
And then teachers would come back on the 9th.
Yeah. General patrons don't care where the teacher, I know the teaching staff would be looking at it, but really we could take all of our professional development days and have them come the whole harvest break. Like, cause the teachers have the contract days, we can place them wherever we, as administration, feel is most advantageous. That would just become a teacher work day.
Can I consult my communication?
Yeah.
Staff about that?
Yeah. Cause as we're looking at that, even if a student needed to take time off on the earlier ones, as a school, we would support them doing that. And that would be with either the early or late, like where we're falling at. And each calendar year, the numbers do fall at different places, which do sometimes complicate. Like, I think here in a couple more years, I can just go back to the one that I first started. I think it's every 7 or 8 years it changes. 7 years.
Sorry, it was a while ago.
But when we looked at the split calendar, like I said, I know I've brought up the concern about attendance, but I'm not worried about it. Even with the few families that may go to St. George during the Thanksgiving break, it's not enough to really be overly concerned. If the attendance was down in the 80s, then I would be concerned, but it's anywhere from 91 to 95. It's 95 is where we want to be 100, but it's impossible to have 100.
It looks like the earlier would be better from what's been shared with me, the earlier harvest or the split harvest. So,
Because another option would be still starting the 13th and 14th, going and taking that away, and then making either a split this way where you have,
so do 2.5 weeks.
yeah. But if it was on the long, yeah. Yeah, Janice, no, your eyes are pulling out.
I'm just gonna say it is so frustrating to me that we have an elementary full of kids that is not working harvest. And we put them in school for 5 weeks and the teachers just get them into a routine and then we give them a 2-week break and I can't handle talking about 2.5 weeks harvest. That's just me.
I don't know if would be ever like financial, like from the financial side, contract side. If we split it between elementary, which is K through 6, because I don't think we'd be able to have junior high in at a time when high school's
Right.
not,
Because we don't have those teachers.
because we don't have those teachers. But if we were talking strictly Hamer Elementary, Terraton Elementary, and we didn't start elementary until like the 31st of August.
You're gonna have parents that have a meltdown because
You
their
will.
kids aren't all on the same schedule.
You will,
That
but
makes it harder too, because if you have older kids who are working and the parents are working, who's going to be with the younger kids?
I know.
School, but it's hard during harvest trying to figure out where all the little kids are going to go while the parents are working and siblings are working. So
The beast.
it is a beast.
you could just do 1 week of harvest. And then if people needed to work otherwise, it's just work release.
Oh boy.
Had that conversation.
You
They're
did.
full of farmers.
But there's a lot of stress. That's the thing is, we're like these types of questions that are coming from the academic mind of saying, hey, what is the best for the academics? And then when you have the farming side, when that's your main livelihood, I don't want it to ever come across that even just having this type of a discussion is an attack or disrespect on the farming community that we're in.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. We don't want that to ever come across that's like, hey, we're downplaying all the stress and everything that you're balancing. And, as part of, it's not just one person who's the only taxpayer in the entire, like it is everybody that lives here. And not everybody is a potato farmer, but not everybody is just a grain and hay farmer. You know what I mean? It's a balance between all. I know the 2-week harvest has probably worked the best to keep the peace in that regard. I just now it's like, how early do we start? And that's why the split harvest I think is the the one that compromises the 2 levels. It's just the darn state PD day has complicated it for me, but I don't know.
You have a football game that night, the night?
Yeah, it would be a home
My
game.
kids are always tired and we don't give very good effort, so can we just cancel every break?
So from the no is the answer.
I like your bravery.
You get a good 6 weeks with the late harvest. That's the thing. You get 6 weeks solid, 6 weeks.
6 weeks solid instruction.
And then you get another 6 weeks before another break at Thanksgiving. Because then after Thanksgiving, they're only here for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
So the first half of the school year, there's a lot of breaks. So, and then you have this really long run. Right? March.
No, and
You could put some breaks in there.
I even took out
President's
the
Day. Right, and there's
I even took the
Human Rights Day, that's what it's called.
call me crazy, I'm still okay with this. And having that Friday as a teacher workday. It eliminates one day, but I think we would, if we did this, I probably still would take this out. Because I need to gain another day, and that just adds an extra day for the instruction. That doesn't start us later unless I take 2 away from over here.
You take anything away from spring break, you're still in the longest run.
Yeah,
without breaks.
yeah. But each one, tries to get. We've balanced it pretty well on each of them, but
Cause aren't you pretty even on the number of days, quarters? Most part 36 days.
yeah. I guess that's gonna come down to you guys as a board, what you're gonna decide, if you're gonna go with a split. I'll come up with a couple more drafts with these recommendations. I'm gonna remove the Monday, Tuesday from November.
We're gonna put it in August.
Then we run,
Wouldn't it?
put it where?
So instead of going Monday, Tuesday, the week of Thanksgiving, you could start 2 days later in August.
That would be that one.
Because the high school would start on the
I would
17th,
lose
the
one of
elementary
these
would
days
be on the 9th.
here. I'll have to look at the numbers for the high school. I might have to pick up another something on the 16th. Whether it's with a high school only day.
By moving the November days?
Well,
Because of that state.
because of
in-service.
profession,
Okay.
yeah, because of the state in service on the 9th.
Gotcha.
So,
Hmm.
because you guys, as a board, you do have the ability to vote however you want to on this. Let me ask both. We have Emily, where you are representing at least that area up there that leans towards an earlier harvest. If it was a complete late harvest, is that like huge detrimental in your eyes? Or if we did a split, are you okay with a compromise with that? Or is it like, man, it has to be on the 21st? It's a hard decision, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
when we're weighing
I
everything.
think the split is better than the late for that side of the.
Because by going all the way to the 28th, it's almost, you're missing that earlier window and then flirting with not having that done.
The farmers won't wait.
They're gonna go.
They can't wait.
They can't.
They can't. And so, anyway,
Yeah.
they'll dig when they dig,
And-
but if you wanna, anyway, so
And
that's.
sometimes I wonder even like if on the pure late, I know this is more not an issue for, maybe it is a little bit with frosts. With
You have to have a frost, or you can have your corn. But then once the frost comes, then everybody wants their corn done at
yeah.
the same time. So,
So the later one is actually better because you need a frost. But if you're a potato farmer, even down here, you're wanting to probably be done by the 6th anyway, to avoid a frost for the potatoes.
Can you take a couple days out of Christmas break and move to the start of this one, like the third?
What does that look, what does
So-
Christmas, where does it fall?
Let's
That's
look at
what
Christmas.
is tricky about Christmas.
So it actually could.
Oh, yeah,
We actually could go
take those two.
Monday, Tuesday.
Would that kind of appease everybody timing wise?
Well, what that would do is if you took those other two, we're starting later. I don't think it answers the question about harvest yet, but it finds enough days to take care of everything that we need to.
August.
Mhm.
For me, selfishly, starting later in the summer is better, especially this year.
This year with all of our projects,
Our projects, the later we can start, the better it is for.
It's more comfortable for the kids. because it's not as hot if we start later as well.
So many moving pieces.
I don't know if you wanna talk about another harvest, there's harvest going on in August too, so give them the harvest days in August and give them the harvest days in September and.
You guys have given me a challenge now to like start building another calendar here to discuss.
When does this have to be done by?
You know,
Usually is that.
it'd be nice in April to have it, but if we had it in May. Like, or even if we had to have a special meeting to do it late April. But this has been good because this type of discussion has given time for the board members to also hear different things. And when I first initially done this, like what Andy is just saying, we had we'll be talking about this in a second. Like the projects that we're doing at the high school this summer, it's gonna be tight. And if we can start a few days later, maybe even a week later, even better breathing room on that project. But that might be at the cost of not having 2 full weeks at Christmas, but having a week and a half. You know, not having a full week during Thanksgiving, but having the 3 days.
Before last year,
We
I don't
used to.
think you had a full 2 weeks at Christmas.
We used to do it this other way.
Yeah. And last year it just fell, the way the days fell, we almost had to do the full 2 weeks. But I don't think we have to this way.
Yeah, before it was because of the way that New Year's fell.
Okay, I will take. I'll still make the 3, I'll still have an early, late and a split. On it.
And to start late in August and start early in August and what
I
else?
think I'm gonna pull, I'm gonna pull them off because I've got multiple reasons to try to push back in August. Not just
What do you think is the ideal date to start in August then?
ideally,
The third week would be.
onto like the 24th if we could.
Yeah.
Work week.
What if you took 2 days from Christmas and 2 days from Thanksgiving?
That would give us the full week. We're still gonna have to look for 2 more
Of those days.
for the 13th, 14th. So maybe what that would look like is would start high school on the 19th and 20th.
Which starting the high school sooner is okay. We're starting in the high school and finishing in this.
True.
So even if high school started the 19th and elementary didn't come until the next week, that would still give us another week to get it done.
But you start on a Wednesday instead of having them come one more Friday. Unless you wanna start on the Thursday, Friday.
You know, we could start on the Thursday, Friday. Yeah, is that what you just said? Thursday, Friday?
I said you could do the Wednesday, Thursday, and then you're not here on Friday.
Just pushing everything back, bumping it down 1 week,
Yeah,
going like that.
But your athletics would still start that second. week.
Still, athletics would still be in, but that would just be, again, extracurricular.
Our summer projects aren't gonna be affecting that, are they?
Affecting,
Cause the athletics starting in August,
No,
the fall sports.
no, because it's in the high school, PE rooms. Yeah.
and by that time we'll be over here too. And it'll be the junior high bathroom and the elementary bathroom.
Yeah, they'd appreciate an extra full week.
Any extra time, yeah. That we can have.
Over here.
So we'll wait to see what you come.
Well, I also don't envy the boards just having to make that decision also on the harvest. Like that is, it's not an easy thing to do.
The hard part is if you do the split, you start later, they're really only in school for
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Yeah. It was. But then also you know, as I've gone back and forth of trying to see it through the academic lens and also the lens of this is the community that we're in. And
balance
you
it.
try to balance because it is,
So if you're doing the split week, you're talking about 2 days, right?
uh-huh,
23rd and the 24th. But then you're talking about 4 weeks of instruction time for your elementary.
yeah, so if elementary started on the 24th, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4,
In 2 days.
and 2 days for the split.
So what if you offered work release? The 23rd and the 24th for those who are working, but still hold school for the elementary and high school for those who are not working.
You know,
Still have-
that was the one conversation I wanted to have the first time is why doesn't work release? And the thought is work release really does not, they need more workers, and they feel like when kids are given the choice of, are you gonna take work release and then have to make up the work later, kids would rather stay in school, go work. And so farmers felt like a work release still wasn't enough. They wanted to have take out all the roadblocks that they could that stop workers from coming. And I don't know if anybody else,
Even if they're in an IDLA class, and a lot of our high schoolers
Yeah.
are in IDLA,
they still have to.
they still have to do those classes regardless of whether or not they choose to work.
Yeah.
Those classes don't go away, whether we have a harvest break or not.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of 2 days. Would 2 days make a huge difference for those students to do work release? I don't think it would, but I can see how a week would be hard, a full week of work release, because that's a number of classes and assignments, but 2 days.
So if that's what you're saying, then
Say
Is-
move the 23rd and 24th down to the 7th and 8th.
what you would do is you would have a full week of the 28th through the 2nd. And then essentially that's a work release work week, and that's a work release week.
Well, I'm not saying 1 week.
Yeah, because you'd want to have that same option on both sides.
So
Yeah.
I think when we work release early though. Means that teachers who are gonna give tests. You're gonna have how many kids not in your class taking that test before the break? And then they come back and have to make up that test after they've not been in school for 2 weeks.
Are we testing after 4 weeks of school?
In
Sometimes-
secondary, yeah.
You could in a secondary setting. Elementary, it's not really much for testing, but you would be making the argument of they're just learning their routines, and then they're gonna lose the routines, and you have to teach them when they come back. I don't know if it's so much for testing for elementary, but it is routines. High school, but
That's why I said for the work release, the 2 days before. If the teachers are gonna do. Things that last Thursday, which I would wager several of them do.
I know that some teachers would say, oh, this is gonna be a wasted day. I would challenge them to say, not make it a wasted day. Like still instruct, that would be.
For the 21st and 22nd.
Uh-huh, and then if we came back and the 9th was off, and they came back on the 7th and 8th. Make it not wasted. And by doing this, then. If there were kids that needed to take the 21st and 22nd off, they're missing 2 days. Those that need to take the 7th and 8th off, they're missing 2 days. I don't think we can get away from. I don't think we can get away from finding a balance that's gonna make both sides happy. I think this is gonna be almost the best compromise. Knowing that it's not perfect. But anyway, I'll put those together with taking away all I'm gonna call Andy the new Grinch for taking away Christmas.
Within about 5 seconds of him talking about harvest, he had a text from his wife.
Hey, welcome to my life, man. I just want to have a conversation, and it's like.
So that's third class food, you never want help?
Oh, that's funny. Hey, somebody's listening in at home. Yeah, I know that with some families and even staff, the taking out the 21st and 22nd and even there, I'm okay with that. it's hard. Yeah, everybody would like to have the 2 full weeks off. But if we're having it later in this, the trade-off is coming another week, I think that would be okay.
I think our teachers would actually prefer that.
Some would. The
Some
ones that
would.
are the ones that are here coaching already and stuff would be like, hey, we're back coaching, let's get into it. But I think some families would enjoy having another weekend or two in the summer. Like, yep.
So remind me, the December 21 and 22, where would you put that?
So we took December 21 and 22. Basically, that would just go to those 2 days there.
Mhm.
And then we took those 2 days. They would go the 17th and 18th.
So they'd start on the 19th.
We could start on the 20th and 21st and just take that 19th as one more day off
And that would be for everyone.
for everyone.
And then
And so the high school would start on the 20th, the elementary.
Yeah, so really I
would
take
that
the,
take care of the night? too?
yes, so I take for the
October.
teacher work days and stuff, I take all of this and just slide it down one week.
Okay.
And so for the week after the fair, we have a full week after the fair without school district stuff.
I like that.
I know we'd still have, school district employees would be back, would probably still do registration, possibly the 3rd and 4th still, the week of the fair, maybe we change it.
Maybe we move it to the 10th.
Maybe move it to the 10th and 11th. We start our district meetings on the 10th or the 17th, 18th and 19th. I can't remember if we've already set up dates with anybody
We have not.
on stuff like that, but start that next weekend. There is a chance that on the 21st, you already have your football team 1 day of school, 1 day out, but guess what? That's just how it goes.
What
Right.
is it?
0 week against Grangeville. I think we don't know where we're meeting them. We're gonna meet them somewhere.
Likely in Montana.
Either Nampa or Montana. So we're moving. Okay, well, this has been fun, you guys. Like, this has been a lot of fun. I'll put those together and we'll see if Andy gets any more texts from his wife on his wonderful comments.
So throw it out there, see what's the.
Update on the PE changing rooms, bathroom remodels. Andy and I met with the architect and construction managers. What it's looking like to get bids is somewhere around April 15th would be the notice to proceed. So they are going to finish out all the different things that they need. They're gonna have a pre-bid meeting here at the end of next week where they'll come out, invite anybody who wants to bid to come and look at the facilities. And then after that, we'll help them jump through the different things. There is some asbestos and lead paint stuff in the old locker rooms, so that's gonna, of course, increase the cost of it. One of the discussions that we had, if you remember, we had the discussions about the benches in the locker rooms with lockers underneath them. We felt like one way to cut costs, but I don't know if it's gonna save it because it's probably just gonna help pay for something else that's expensive in it, is still have lockers, the little small cubby lockers that you might see sometimes at like at Lagoon or something, where like, hey, come and rent this here, you can put your backpack in it. Have about 30 of those in a small spot. And instead of having them down underneath, where I don't know if they're always gonna be used, but we still have a space available for people to lock a phone or wallet up if they want to. But it should save us a lot of money by just doing that, instead of having it down underneath. And so that's one thing that they're gonna put in their bid change as a way to look at it,
So that will be up again, because it'll be like a wall unit.
like a wall unit. And so they're just gonna find a couple spots in either of those locker rooms to put that wall unit. So kids can still change.
This is just a sample of what it could look
Yeah, something like
like,
that.
just so you guys
So looking at
visualize.
the preliminary costs, those undersea lockers were gonna cost us about $55,000. I think these pods are about $720 a piece, and we need 2 of them for each room.
Yeah, so we're saving them. We would, but they're looking at different things with, like, the whole project. It is quite an investment when we look at it, but they are coming in, they are changing plumbing lines, they are rerouting some HVAC stuff. It's gonna be done correctly and right for us to last a long time. And so it is quite an investment for it, but helping coach like the junior high boys basketball and going into those locker rooms at that time, yuck. That's all I'm gonna say. It will be, it's time to celebrate that. Andy, was there anything else on the updating the board on where we're at with those projects?
So they're starting the permit process today. Just because it's so lengthy. So they're gonna send that today. It'll be posted in the
Jefferson Star?
newspaper 2 consecutive weeks, and then the next week will be the bid opening, and we'll do that at their office. Just, we can do it anywhere, but it's more convenient for the contractors and everybody that are in town just to come to the office. We'll have to be there, but it's easier for us to travel than if we come there, so. The HVAC, it's a high efficiency recovery system, what it's called. So the cost on that's gonna go up a little bit, but the lockers will offset that too, so. Other than that, everything, looking at all the architectural engineering stuff, all that is done, everything's done, ready for the.
Super. We did have one discussion, and this is one that I haven't had a chance to meet with my admin team. Talking about the academics, because they do want to start May 4th, which we're in school already. I wonder if I can pull up let me pull up a previous board meeting.
And they're starting in the PE changing rooms.
Yeah. And the reason why, and I'll show you if I have the renderings here. These have the renderings. Must have been on the other one. Barry, where did I have those renderings at? On which meeting was that on? Was it
February?
January, I think.
might have been here they are. So budget renovation plans. I think this will be. There we go. So when we were talking about the current bathrooms, boys locker room, girls locker room, they were thinking, how are they going to come in, start removing asbestos and everything else? So the best way that we could think of is, well, we utilize this back place by the coal area. They'd be able to clean out that stuff, bring it there and dump it out. Then for the girls' locker room, the legacy gym is going to have to be off limits, and it's going to be off limits all summer long. And I've already started communicating that out to different groups and coaches and such. But they would run some carpet along the north side of the gym, of course, lock those doors, shut everything else out, and then that way they could still do their abatement here, go across, bring it out that way. So that way they could start with the construction of those while we're in school. They would not start under the bathrooms, of course, until after school is out. Our PE classes would have to come out this gym, go down, probably go change at the Panther Den. Yeah, it's gonna make it a little bit longer for their change time, but it is 3.5 weeks on the last part of school. The weight room would still be accessible through here. We have the play coming up. This is gonna be the week before school starts. They still could utilize part of this gym.
Do you mean before school ends?
Before school ends. When I get talking for 3 hours, I love it when you
Yeah,
like
sorry, just
correct.
wanna make sure I'm
Yeah,
with you.
keep always, you have the permission from me, correct me when I misspeak there. So during the play, they may have to utilize the science room for some changing or something for some of the kids. It's like they used to always go into the girls' locker room or the boys' locker room to change. Those are gonna be off. They might have to use something with Mrs. Dixon's room or something like that. It just, we're gonna have to figure out.
Do they use Mrs. Parker's room at all?
Yeah, they'll utilize that. We're just gonna have to know that it's a short-term disruption.
So
It's
students will have to go outside to get to Mrs. Parker's room instead of through the gym.
correct. Yep, these doors will be probably chained shut. So they will need to either go this way to the outside or go around that other way.
How will that affect Mrs. Dixon's students? Because do they come through the gym usually to get to her room?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they come around the back door. If they're coming from the bus, they come to the back door. I
Or
think
you-
they'll be okay.
Or you keep the auditorium open.
The auditorium could be a passageway right through here as well.
Okay.
And so that is gonna be something my admin team, we're gonna have to sit down and figure out the logistics. I know with summer clean, we already met with Mrs. DeFoya. She knows that, especially when they start getting into this part here, it you know, it will throw it off. She just said we'll adjust and change as we go. A major thing that might happen also is she usually redoes the gym floor in July. We're not gonna be able to do that until the project is completely done. So maybe that means during harvest break, they redo that gym. Yet that will impact junior high girls basketball a little bit. We'll have to figure that out. I do want to remind people that the championship team used to practice in the elementary at times and they won a championship. And the golden class of 97, when he was a freshman, we went to Hamer and did C-team practice. And we're still alive and it's okay. So we might not always get what we want and where we want, but the more that we look at this, I'm excited for this project. It's gonna be a lot of work on the part, grateful for the Headwaters construction and everything that they've been doing. And anything else? I just wanted to share that with the board to kind of get them,
No, I think they're up to date with their.
yeah. So,
May fourth
Okay.
then.
May the 4th be with us.
Awesome.
Let's make sure I'm on the right one. Superintendent's report. You ready for that? Or not?
Imagine what's left to talk about.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm just getting started today. Grace is like, come on, dude. Some important things to report on coming up. So I did want to report on some curriculum updates. You'll see some price tags on here, but they're not coming up to the board because they are under the $10,000 amount. And there's no new curriculum being requested. It's just an update. So our science curriculum in our 5th and 6th grade and 7th and 8th graders, so our middle and junior high, they are up for renewal. The teachers and the different committees would like to keep the same curriculum, but make a different focus going forward. So when we went into this pre-COVID, well, it was right in the middle of COVID, we were able to purchase workbooks and digital access and different things, and we were able to utilize the COVID money to help with that purchase. And so we went ahead and did it. As they are, is that you, Carrie? That's
Oh, sorry. I forgot that you're on the actual one.
yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
So what they want to do is just buy textbooks now, a classroom set of textbooks, have in the classroom, and then use a journal where the kids are doing more writing on it. And so what they found with the workbooks that they had, the workbooks are exactly like the textbooks, but don't have enough space for actually places for the kids to expound on their writing and they're doing the problem. So they've started experimenting with it. They actually like it better to just have a textbook with that. So they'll buy the textbooks, but there is still a digital access that's when we look at part of this purchase that will still be every year, but the teachers are able to pull that up for instruction in the classroom. That's what the digital access allows the teacher to have access to the slides and the different things, the interactive videos. So as they're doing the instruction, they're able to use that. And so our fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth, they'll continue with that. Another discussion with the curriculum in those levels is to adjust and make sure that we're instructing similar or more similar to what the ISAT teaches with science. So in this grade level, we have our fifth grade and our eighth grade that receive the science ISAT. So we feel like this will help prepare them in the future better for that assessment. The secondary math, just an update. They've been using the CPM. Mrs. Bell loves this program. This was a program we got this one like 4 or 5 years ago, but now we have it through all of our junior high and high school levels from sixth grade all the way up. And so fifth grade still uses our Bridges math, but sixth grade starts with CPM. And at the high school, they're really starting to see the continuity of teaching it every single year. These are going to be up for renewal in 27 and 28. Just kind of giving you an update that we have our different groups that review their curriculum. If it's something that they want new, then that's where they would start a curriculum committee and would come to the board. But where it's already an approved one, and they're just going to continue with it. So any questions on quality teaching and learning?
How often do we look at the math curriculum in the elementary?
We adopted 2 years ago.
So it's not very old.
No. Do you have concerns about it?
I just had a discussion with a teacher who
Didn't,
they know their concerns.
and they didn't like it?
No.
I would ask that teacher to discuss it with the department head. That would be Mrs. Reeder, and looking at that, because I also hear others who do like it.
Yeah.
And that's not what you're saying is like, I bet if I had $1 for every time that happened in a district would have,
different perspective.
would have different perspectives of that. So I would encourage that teacher to discuss that with the department chair and to see, because again, there's differences in this like way to teach it, and sometimes we do have to accommodate to our setting better, and sometimes it does take 2 to 3, 4 years for a teacher to really dive into that. So thank you for that information. Other comments on number 1? Fiscal responsibility. This one might take a few minutes to discuss, you see a lot of different things and don't get ahead of me. You're like, oh, why are you saying status quo, Hamer K1, Hamer without Mr. Williams? What are you doing? At the financial conference that Mrs. DeGraw and I went to last week, we were able to sit down and really dive in deep to what is it looking in the next couple of years. And so when we talk about providing responsible oversight of public funds to support a well-rounded quality education reflects the values of the community in the district. First and foremost, when I see responsible oversight of public funds, we need to be transparent, which we are very transparent with everything that we do. The second thing is we have to live within our budget and what's coming to us. And then we have to say, whatever we get, what's the best situation for us to provide education to the students? I think so many times we want what we want and we don't want to ask the questions of where's the money coming from? Why can't you just do this if this is what we want? And so this is a situation that regardless of whether somebody is going to be upset about any of these discussion topics, these are discussion topics. None of these things have been decided at all. They're just, my mind is going to options to say, what can I do to help us have the best opportunity to, 1, stay fiscally responsible, and 2, to provide an education for the kids. If we flip that and said, we're going to do everything we can to have the kids and not worry about the fiscal responsibility, we're going to run out of money very quickly, because we would want to all have small classes with 2 or 3 paraprofessionals in each class, and it's just, we don't have the resources for that in public schools. So to take a step back to say, where do we get money for schools? Where are you getting your money from? We have to have a revenue source. the revenue source comes from a generated support unit. So I started right here in the middle. Whoops. I can't highlight that, can I? From where I'm at?
No, it's an image.
Yeah. So the 35.05, that's our current support unit. Why is that important? The support unit is the multiplier that drives the money that comes into the district. And support unit is not how many employees you have. That's not saying you have 35 teachers. That's not saying, it's just saying that's what it's come. Now, where does that come from? It comes from average daily attendance. And so we have more than 562 kids coming to school at West Jefferson. I think we're closer to 580, 584.
Let me get the right number.
If you want to have the right number. So you can see that and we're sitting about between 93 and 95% attendance at West Jefferson, which is a great thing. And so you have enrollment, but they don't give us 100% money for every kid that's here. It's based off of average daily attendance. And so we get this number so that all of the different calculations go in to say, okay, here's your average daily attendance. That's the number of days that students are in seats learning at school. That goes into a formula that the department gives us to work through, and that generates 35.05 support units. It also generates to say, well, you now qualify for 3.1 admin in your district. But the money that is connected to these isn't by individual person. They don't say, oh, you have teacher A, teacher B, and say, they're making this much, let's give you that much money. They send you an average of everything. And so sometimes that works to your favor, and sometimes it doesn't. Are we seeing something off on that, Karen?
No, I'm in the wrong spot.
Okay, because I saw your face.
Don't look at my face.
Yeah. So what that generates by the time we get to the 3.1 admin generates to 39.55 teachers. So when you're looking at Finance 101, the number one thing not to do as a superintendent to run your district into the ground is hire more teachers than what you get paid for. I know that sounds simple, but there are times that when there are lots of districts that do have more teachers than, and this was one of the things that since my first year, we were out of balance before I came in as superintendent, and we have brought it down to where we need to be. We've been that way for the last 5 or 6 years. So why does Mr. Williams have all these other options up here? One thing that we're seeing is when we start with next year's enrollment, we already know that we're going to be approximately 22 students less than last year. Carrie, you
Yeah.
find out?
Like 575.
So 575, yeah. So you're looking about between 17 to 20 students less, depending also, but this is also coming off of pretty good attendance. For us.
We had good numbers for this midterm.
If this midterm was lower, it goes down by attendance, not by all the kids that are here in school. So as we look forward to 26, 27, and these are the three blue, we know that we're going to have about 22 students less because we're graduating a class of 60, and we're probably bringing in a kindergarten class of 40. That's easy math right there. Some people will say, well, hold on a second, you're going to get more kids coming from Rigby or that come over in junior high. Yes and no. Like this last year, we did have some come in. We also had kids leave. And so it's kind of a wash when we start to gain it. The main number is really what's our number coming in compared to what's our number going out. That's not just a West Jefferson problem, that's a state of Idaho problem. When they look at all of the kids in public school, families aren't having as many kids. The kids coming into kindergarten, there are fewer kids compared to the kids that are going out. So if we decided to not do anything at all, and I have status quo, there is a nice thing that is a safety support umbrella in the funding formula when we're talking about ADA support units, and it's called like support unit protection is what it's called. And so what that says is you can't go below 3% of 562. So we would, even if we drop that many students, protection really saves us next year at 5.545, because then we would still generate this much. We're lower. You see how we're going down in administration and we're going down here. That tells me as a superintendent, we still have to look at reducing for next year. So where does that look at? As a district? Go ahead and make your comment. and
Yeah,
I'll
I was
say-
just gonna say, without protection, next year, our average daily attendance is projected to be 520.
So it's a huge drop. So we would go from this to 520, which would take us way, way low real quick. That's why that protection. The thing about protection though that is important is in 2 years, you don't go 3% from your protected level, you go 3% from your actual level. So if we really are actually only 520 ADA next year, protection takes us down to 506. So you see the slide that goes really quickly on that. And that's why when I'm coming up with different things, it's not just on a whim, it's not on a like, what does this look like? So looking at next year, I've already told our administrative team that if we set out staffing letters, if we have somebody who is choosing to retire or choosing to leave the district to another district, that we are on a hiring freeze, depending on what it is, and then we would move people around to adjust. That's always the first step that we take is with attrition. We take voluntary movement. Voluntary movement would be somebody choosing to leave. The second would be through attrition or movement that way. If that doesn't happen, then possibly we would have to look at other options. One option, and I always put up this one here. What would the district look like if we closed down Hamer School? Now, we don't have people, hopefully Emily, your phone doesn't go off on this one, but this is important to understand. As a superintendent at this moment, that this cannot be an option because of the way that Hamer as a separate school generates support units for the district as a whole. Because, and I'll just use the 26, if we said, hey, this is coming up, let's close this. Our ADA would be protected for the first year, but our support units on all of these, if we're looking at the next year, drop us to 30.9. Our teacher count is 34 on that. It drops the teacher count just way, way down. Now, why is that important? Because the support unit is the multiplier for all of our discretionary funding and our insurance funding. And they send it into a pot and we divvy it out. So we do get money for insurance for our employees, but it's not based on every employee. When they wrote it into code and they know this is a problem, we've talked about it, but they're not going to change it because it costs more money if they did. They know that right now, like our current year, we are getting supported for insurance money at 35 support units. We have a lot more than 35 people getting insurance in our district.
About 55 to 60.
And so that's where our supplemental levy comes into play to help balance all of that. We're no different than any other district that's in the same situation. I think we're better financially just because of the way that we've planned. So going back to, well, what happens without Hamer? That drops way down. Our discretionary money goes down, and I don't have an exact dollar figure, but it would be approximately 150,000, potentially to 180,000 that we would not get in discretionary. The teachers that would leave Hamer, those positions disappear and don't generate it. That's the reason why, like, you can't just take the teachers here and put them down to Terraton, make smaller classes in Terraton, because Terraton, even with Hamer's numbers, won't generate enough students. that's the thing. At that presentation, the business manager from Lake City, I believe, they are in a tough mess up there. If they don't pass the levy, they're millions of dollars upside down. And even with the levy passing, they have to eliminate 40 to 50 teachers just to make their budget. So worst case, best case scenario, they're like eliminating like 50 teachers. Other than that, they voted to close an elementary school down. But she said we would not touch our separate elementary because of the support units that it generates for their district. And they decided to actually close an elementary that was the newest elementary, even though they had the older one there for that. And that's coming from strictly a financial business side. I know it doesn't make sense when people are looking at it saying, wait, it's small, it's not this. The reason why I'm bringing that up is I'm not afraid to talk about Hamer, and it's not an emotional thing. It's not that Mr. Williams was an elementary student up there. It's that this is how it impacts the district financially. And so I put that on there just because as I bring it up, people are going to say, hey, I got an easy idea. Let's just do that. This is why it can't be. So the next thing is, well, what can we do? One option, again, we can, I think next year, 26, 27, we could stay status quo pretty good, especially if we are fortunate enough with some type of attrition in the district. If there's not attrition, an option would be to make Hamer an all-day kindergarten spot just as it is, so Territon would still have a half-day kindergarten option, but to turn it into the district's first grade school that all students would go. What that would do is it would guarantee a certain number, a pretty firm number of students that would go to that school. And that would generate enough support units, as you can see going across here. The support units are about a half a support unit more than what it would if we went status quo, which does bring us up to 38, another half-time teacher in the district, if that's what we wanted to do next year. I understand that this option might come with resistance from people. I would probably have resistance if I had a first grader in Montague. I'd say that's a long way to go for kids. If this were to happen, we would have to change the way that we do things with start times in that school. Instead of having that school start early, that school would start later. And so that would be the second location for going. This isn't also without any empirical evidence. We've had kindergarten students that come from Montague that get on our bus here and go to Hamer School and then come back that have been doing that for 2 years. Some parents will say, that's not my choice, I don't want to do that, but we know that it can be done, that kids have done it. Is it perfect? No. Is it inconvenient a little bit? Possibly. But it's also, where do we balance? Is it better for us to continue the drop and then lose teachers district-wide? Because that's where, again, going back on what's the responsible to support a well-rounded education. And that's kind of where we're at. The last part, and then I'll stop and let us discuss, is the next year is the one that really I'm more worried about. This is probably worst case scenario. It could be a little bit higher if, and again, it's big if people choose to come to school. Because we don't go off of protection, again, status quo is protection. That's probably from the 520 ADA. That would be our worst case scenario going down. But even then, now we're talking the difference between 35.15 or 36 teachers. And that's where I'm thinking if we get through status quo this year, next year, unless something increases that will get us closer to where we're at, around 36 to 37, in 2 years, we may have to really consider a Hamer K1. So I will pause and let you ask. Maybe you guys have different questions, but this is something I've been taking months to think about what we could do to generate more money.
So
And so-
here's a question.
Yeah.
Why does Hamer have to be K1? Why don't you do like a fourth, fifth grade or a fifth, sixth grade over there?
That's a good question. So, two things on that. The state hours that are required for schools to have it all. I could say a K3 because we need 810 hours for that grade span to be able to meet state requirements. If you went fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, now that jumps up to 900 on that. And that would be difficult to have all district kids at that level to get up to Hamer early enough to allow for busing back and forth between the two. The second thing on that is administrative oversight of that building. If we had a fourth, fifth, sixth grade, or even a fifth, sixth grade in Hamer, we would need to have a full-time administrator in that building. When we look at the behavioral issues of our whole district, I would say our fifth and sixth grade is the grade level that has the hardest problem. And it's not because it's here at this location, I think it's the hormones. I'm looking back, I was probably yes, it was in Hamer, I'm sure, Mr. Williams, Uncle Tom, bless his soul, if he knew everything that I did, I'd be in trouble as superintendent. Like, kids they're not bad kids, it's just that's a time where their minds and bodies are changing, and administration would be harder. And I don't think, so that doesn't make it a financially better situation or an academically better situation. I think the littler kids are more resilient than sometimes what parents give them credit for. I know the all-day kindergarten is a choice that they've made. I've personally sent my own daughter. I bring her here to Terraton, she gets on the Hamer bus and she goes to Hamer. Are there days she doesn't like it? Yeah. I think she complained less as a little kid than she did as an older kid on it as well.
Would there still be a half-day kindergarten in Terraton, or would all kindergarten be all day?
It would still be a half day. Now, these aren't the only ideas that could happen. Like, we could potentially have a split level class in Terraton. We could make a first, second grade split in Terraton, but we would have about 25 kids in that class. And we would be asking a teacher to provide real core instruction at a crucial level with a lot of kids. And that makes me question, is that really the best quality education? It would check the box of meeting the requirement fiscally.
And you'd have to have a teacher who's willing to be on board with that.
Well, you would teachers, but we could tell teachers this is what you're doing.
But the difference in what first grade and second grade is learning versus third and fourth
Yeah.
is massive.
Which does remind me, one of the part of the Hamer K1 option would eliminate all split level classes in the district. Because the Hamer second, third, and fourth kids would come to Terraton. And then that way you would have 2 third grade teachers, 2 second, 2 third, and 2 fourth grade teachers. The numbers fit that way, and it actually benefits Terraton in a way that it maximizes the ADA support units that Terraton can offer, and it maximizes what Hamer's does. It's outside the box. It's not comfortable. It's not perfect.
So how many classes are you saying would be there if it's K1? 3 classes?
There would be one kindergarten class, and next year's, and you would be able to generate 3 teachers up there
For 3 first grade
for
classes?
3 first grade classes.
So you'd have 4 classes.
So you'd have 4 classrooms, there's 6 classrooms available in Hamer. You'd have 4 of them that would have a class in it. Your first grade classes would have approximately 14 to 15 kids in them. You have a small first grade class, you're instructing kids at a younger age. The start time for the school day would be between 8:30 and 8:40. And it would be done by 3:15. Kids would be spending a lot of the day riding, they come back here and get picked up to go to Montague. It is a long day. There, I can't argue against that. But it does, if you look at like split level classes aren't bad. I was educated in a split level class. Maybe that's why some people are saying, I knew it. I was kidding. But in a small setting with smaller numbers of kids, teachers can be more successful. I don't think it impacts the kids. I think the kids can grow well in that. Being able to have a teacher that focuses on only one grade level curriculum, it's an advantage for that teacher to help the kid out. That's why, in a way, I think having that split could strengthen where we're at by eliminating, not as we're eliminating a bad thing, but we're eliminating it to make it a better thing. And I can't say our split level class at 3rd and 4th grade has worked, and I can say this because we probably have one of the best educators in the state of Idaho in that classroom. We're not always going to be able to have that. Our contracts don't force teachers to stay forever. And so I look at that and say, okay, another option. This is again, I'm open to options, and that's why I am going to have a PAW meeting scheduled to hopefully have parents come and discuss this. They might come and yell, they might come and be mad. At the end of the day, no matter who's mad or who's yelling, these support units, that's what I'm worried about. Tell me what I should do. Tell me what I should do on that. So here's another idea I'll just throw out to the wind. Maybe this will help generate ideas for others. If we had kindergarten, again, and we're a small school, so people will know in Tarleton. We know who the teacher is in Tarleton. If we said we will offer 1/2 day kindergarten in Tarleton. Right now, because kids are choosing to go to Hamer, her kindergarten classes are about 12 kids. In her AM and in her PM, both of those. AM kindergarten, you have a class of 20 to 25 kids in that class. In the afternoon, that teacher would then take the split level class from 1st and 2nd grade. So the teacher that teaches that 1st and 2nd grade class, she'll have both things, but only teaching them maybe math in the morning. And then in the afternoon, sends that to the other teacher to teach reading. There's different ways that we could look at that. But again, that takes away an afternoon option or a morning option for the 1/2 day kindergarten, which is convenient for some parents and inconvenient for others. If we are just not, I don't know of others other than that. We would just have to meet let's go back to status quo. We would just have to meet what it is. And that could also include, okay, so we're talking elementary that are making some of these changes. I've already talked to my high school. As we go throughout the next couple of years, high school will have to reduce elective offerings. They have to adjust with us. Maybe I'll get surprised and we have 20 new kids move in. So maybe, that's one thing I'm okay with staying status quo next year, but we have to be serious about what's going to happen in 2 years, because that's when the protection leaves and that safety net goes way down. I don't know. Any questions on, I hope I did it justice on explaining where the funding comes from and why. I hope it was clear enough. I don't want my board members to not understand that.
When are you doing your PAW meetings?
I'm gonna do one tomorrow. I'm gonna have Julie cut some of this and send it out, do it tomorrow, and then I'm gonna do it the 25th of this month.
Board members.
Absolutely, board members can come as individuals. You won't be acting as a board. You can act as a parent on that. You can come and listen. If we need to, we could put a quorum notice up for you to be here, then just to know that no action will be taken. I want you guys to be involved with this because there will be a lot of miscommunication that happens on the reason why Superintendent Williams is wanting to do this. I don't want to, man. I would love, you know what I would love? really, parents, if you're hearing this and you're going, why? If the state of Idaho funded us based on enrollment, you could add 1.5 teachers to all of those support units. End of story, case closed, we're done. It's not, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. When we were, the 1 or 2 years during COVID, when they came in and they said, oh man, COVID's gonna hurt your guys' average daily attendance because of all the sick kids. Let's just fund you off of enrollment. That was the easiest way for us to justify on it and go, if they're that mad, they need to call their legislatures. The funny thing is the ones in our area are probably the most pro public ed educators in Idaho. They need to call their friends in northern Idaho and some of the northern Boise valleys outside of the area of ones that are looking for ways to just nickel and dime public ed. We might be 2 years off. I know that there was one comment in the JFAC to say, let's start exploring a different funding formula mechanisms. I still think we're a couple years out from if we would get that. But anyway.
So am I understanding that teacher count number as that every year it's basically dropping 2? If we stay at status quo, right?
Yeah, like next year, like we would have to figure out a way to
About 1.2.
1.2. Yeah, it would just continue to would have to squeeze somewhere, and hopefully we find another balance. Like as a district, I think in the 90s, we had bigger families, we had smaller farms, we had a lot more people that lived here during those times. And our district was in the 800s-900s with population. Since I've been superintendent, we've just been flirting with 600 to 680 to 690, and we've gone up and down.
580.
What's that? 580, yeah. Ooh, that would have been a jump. Like,
I would take that one.
yeah, but we're right around there. This is the first year that we're really taking that next step down. Like a drop. We've like when we'd go from 600 to 580, back to 590 to 5. We've been back and forth, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, and they'll come. And so, if you're asking me, what do you want to do right now? If I had my choice right this second, I probably want to stay status quo for next year. See how it goes, but also have this conversation now that we might have to jump to this because 35.9 is closer to the 37. You know what I mean? It's still lower. I'd probably still have to use attrition and possibly electives at the high school, or I think we're starting to realize we need to maybe go bare bones on some of the things, and I don't want elementary to feel like, oh, I'm sacrificing them, but this is a solution with our separate school that could help us.
One thing that we look at is the same with our budgeting. We estimate lower numbers. We plan for less so that if we get more to this year, I think we were up 0.3 than what we expected in FTEs.
That's pretty close.
And we were really close. But that's where we are right now is we're looking at, okay, what's our enrollment gonna be? What's our 97% of our average daily attendance from this year? And then we're estimating based on this year's average daily attendance, next year's enrollment, what our actual ADA would be. And then protection that would come off of that moving into this next year.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about if the Hamer School is a K-1, what does that do with the reading and the 95% program that you have implemented it?
It will continue. It continue.
Is it gonna, like, how is that gonna change? I don't,
I would say that it would strengthen it. And the reason why it would strengthen it is because under the PLC model with the professional learning communities, now we have all of our first grade housed together to be able to work together on those goals of 95% at that level. Right now in Hamer, you have a split first, second, a split third, fourth, and they're trying to do the 95% from 4 different levels with limited people. If you had it all one level, the teachers would be able to be more focused in on that. Then that would also support down in Territon, because then you would now create every grade level with 2 teachers, which would strengthen a PLC model. Not that it's not strong with our split third and fourth, and again, because we have a very seasoned, strong teacher who is that split teacher and works between the third and fourth, but third grade teachers could work on third grade curriculum, fourth grade teachers work on fourth grade curriculum. That's why I think it actually would be a stronger move for us educationally to have it that way. But it's also a hard sell when it comes to the distance. And I don't.
what does that do to the space in the Territon classrooms wise?
That would free up essentially one classroom. We have one classroom that is already used for interventions. That would still continue. And then one, if you took 2 classrooms and emptied them from Territon to Hamer, one of them would have to become a 4th grade classroom, and one of them would just be an intervention classroom. Essentially, what that could do is we could potentially move some classrooms out of the 38 if we needed to. You know, there's just different options to shuffle people back down to the base floor.
Okay.
So,
I hope people come to the pond meeting.
so we've already talked about the facility projects with Andy. I sure hope it's positive relationships. People can be mad if they want to. This isn't a personal thing that I'm discussing. This is the state we're in. I'm happy to tackle these. These are hard things, but this is what I signed up for, and this is what I love to do. And it's not about what I want either. But I do have to say to the board, if we are making certain decisions based off of where our counts are going to be at, we have to be ready for other hard decisions in other ways. Reduce programs, reduce teachers, just to make ends meet.
Let's just clarify, you love finding solutions,
Not problems.
doing this.
You know what though? I know there's gonna be people that are passionate about this. But I also have a lot of confidence that when people hear this, they're gonna maybe bring something that I don't see.
Right.
They might bring another solution and say, what about this? What about that? Just because I've had a 6-month head start on this, I'm not saying that I've thought of everything. Like, it would be nice if somebody came up with something. But they also have to be educated enough to know how the funding generates to be able to make that type of decision. Because we can't change that. That's the thing that we can't change. We can wish for enrollment-based funding as much as we want. And it's hard because I know what it's like. And I've shared this at superintendent meetings. I've shared this with Superintendent Critchfield. I'm like, we know what this did. This was a meeting 2 years ago with our legislatures, and Superintendent Critchfield was there. I shared that. We know this worked for us. But there's just not an appetite for that. Because public ed is not, you don't win votes when you support public ed in Idaho, unfortunately.
So what did happen to the bill about the IDLA funding?
It's still in process.
I just got email that the JFAC should be setting the budgets for K-12 and IDLA on.
Because that will be another thing with IDLA. We have utilized IDLA more with parent self-directed learners in our district. But if the state limits IDLA, we are probably going to require different things of our students next year to be at school longer. So what that basically means is we've allowed parents to say, I want my kid to take a majority of IDLA classes because this is what we want as a parent and what's best for my kid. We're probably gonna have to come back and say, you need to be at school for at least 4 classes regardless. And then we can start with the conversation on everything else. We haven't done that the last couple of years. We know we might lose a couple of people, but that type of legislation will tie our hands on that. It makes me want to say school choice is okay for private schools and homeschoolers, but not for public schools. How dare you? Anyway. This may have a happy question. Come on, Chris. Do you have any happy question for me?
When's the first baseball game?
Yeah, it's coming up here after spring break. Hopefully the weather's good for you to come out and watch.
Nice.
Right.
So, well, thank you, Madam Chair. And I look forward, like I said, Julie has posted already the PAW meetings. This is what we're gonna discuss. Hopefully we can cut it and send it out also, just say, hey, listen to this portion.
Right. Well, do we need to have a work meeting?
We might need to schedule a special or work meeting, but not until we have some firm numbers on our remodel.
On our remodels. They were hoping to have everything ready for us to vote on our next regular meeting. But if not, then we'll schedule a special meeting for that.
Okay.
We do have an ISBA event on Tuesday night. If board members want to go, another option, if we can't go to that, we can come together and attend the virtual together.
Oh, they'll have a virtual that.
They do have a virtual option, not on that same day.
Oh, okay.
It's on a different day.
Topic is? Isn't it like,
I think it has to do with our finances.
isn't it how to talk to your patrons about reduced funding?
Yes, I think
Hard
it is.
decisions and cuts.
Well, since next week is spring break. Try option.
Is the 24th at 5:30,
Oh, that meeting is the 24th.
the
The,
virtual one.
The virtual.
I don't know if the virtual will work. But don't. Yeah, I was gonna say that date sounds,
Busy.
yeah, I'll have deputy training that night. So,
We could all meet in Coeur d'Alene on the 31st.
yeah, sure. Good idea.
Moscow or Boise
Good idea.
That one in Twin.
and Twin, yep.
Yep, good idea.
So if we can't find one that fits for everybody, we can attend. If some people can attend Tuesday, you can go Tuesday. If you can't, then try and attend the virtual.
Yeah, just on your own. Okay,
Sounds good.
so on the Tuesday, if you are gonna be able to go, just text Carrie and we'll figure out a way to meet there.
They do want us to register, so we'd probably want to know by the end of this week if anybody can go on Tuesday. I know Emily said she can.
I could go, because I don't have a mandatory
Okay.
police training on that night, but I do on the other nights.
I think I will plan on going as well.
Now you guys are making it a party.
Yeah,
Don't feel, you're gonna feel missing out.
And that's at Route B. Okay. I'll look and I'll let you know.
okay, perfect.
All right, our next regular meeting is April 8th. Regular events. Hold on. All right, well, the floor be open for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I summon.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?